Hey guys, welcome back. So this is a series of Python interview questions from Uplatz. So these questions will be very useful for the people who are attending, who are aspiring for a job which is based on Python. So be it machine learning, artificial intelligence, or any technology where Python is used. So we are guiding you through very important interview questions on Python. So this will be on Python. We are not, we are covering the basic, intermediate, and advanced level of questions on Python. Okay. So hope it helps you. So let's start the questions. So the first question is that you should know what are the key features of Python. So Python is a very popular language. It has maintained its position in the top 5 from last 5 to 10 years. It is extensively used and the most preferred language for machine learning, artificial intelligence, okay, and many other technologies. So what makes Python so popular? So something should be there in Python for it to become such a huge success, right? So Python is an interpreted language. Python is dynamically typed. Python is well suited for object-oriented programming. In Python, functions are the first-class objects. Writing Python code is quick, and Python finds use in many spheres. All right. So, what is the meaning of interpreted language? So, Python is an interpreted language. It means that unlike languages like C and its counterparts, Python does not need to be compiled before it is executed. And some other languages which are interpreted are PHP, Java, Ruby, and many others. All right. So what is the difference between interpretation and compilation? So when you interpret a program, you are checking it line by line. So when you compile a programming language, and even if you have a single error, you will not get the output. But in interpreted language, the program will successfully execute till the point there is no error. Okay. So when an error is occur, when an error is found, it stops the execution. But you can see at least few instructions that are executed. This doesn't happen in compiled languages. So compilation is a whole process, whereas interpretation is line by line. Okay. So for example, if your program has 50 lines of code, and if the first 30 lines are correct, so the first 30 lines are executed. If an error is occurring in the line number 31, so at that point, the execution stops. All right. So this is the meaning of interpreted language. Interpreted language are quite slow compared to compiled languages, but that is not a drawback. Then Python is a dynamically typed language. So this is very important and it makes Python very easy. So dynamically typed means you don't need to mention the types of variables when you declare them. So if you remember in C, C++, Java, whenever you declare the variables, you will mention their types: int, float, character, string, like that. But in Python, you don't have to mention the types because Python is a dynamically typed language. You just need to write the names of the variables and assign them some values, and the Python will understand it dynamically. So there is absolutely no need of writing int, float, character, strings, and all. Okay. Then Python is well suited for object-oriented programming. So Python is also an object-oriented programming. So the main components of object-oriented programming are classes and objects, right? So the concept of classes and objects is present in Python also. It allows the definition of classes along with composition and inheritance. Python does not have access specifiers. Okay, so this is the meaning of Python is an object-oriented language. The next question, no, the next feature, writing Python code is quick, but running it is often slower than compiled languages. So as I told you, interpreted languages are quite slow compared to compiled languages. Fortunately, Python allows the inclusion of C-based extensions, so bottlenecks can be optimized away and are often they are optimized. Some packages like NumPy is a good example of this. It is really quite quick because a lot of number of crunching it does is not actually done by Python. Okay, so some modules, okay, are not slow, they are quite faster, but in general, since Python is an interpreted language, it is generally slower to execute it. Then finally, Python is used in many applications, so it finds used in many spheres: web applications, automation, scientific modeling, big data applications, and many more. It is also often used as glue to get other languages and components to play well. Okay, so all these are the features, key features of Python. There are many other important features, but at least you must know these things. Okay, the next question, what is PEP 8? So PEP stands for Python Enhancement Proposal. It is a set of rules that specify how to format Python code for maximum readability. Okay, so from the first question, you may also get the questions like what is Python, what is interpreted language, okay, what is dynamically typed language. So I have explained all those things. You can just remember them. Then finally, the next question, how is memory managed in Python? So memory is managed in Python in different ways. So there is actually no limit on memory in Python. So you can print any value for a variable, be it any long, okay, be it any complex, all right? There is no limitation on memory in Python. So memory management in Python is managed by Python private heap space. All Python objects and data structures are located in a private heap. The programmer does not have the access to this private heap. The Python interpreter takes care of this instead. Okay. Then the allocation of heap space for Python objects is done by memory manager, Python's memory manager. The core API gives access to some tools for the programmer to code. Okay. Then Python also has an inbuilt garbage collector which recycles all the unused memory and so that it can be made available to the heap space. All right. So these are the different ways in which memory is handled. Memory is managed in Python. So Python has also an inbuilt garbage collector which recycles all the unused memory and so that it can be made available to the heap space. Okay, so hope these questions are clear. What is a namespace in Python? So a namespace is a naming system used to make sure that names are unique to avoid naming conflicts. Okay, so this is the definition of namespace. Then what is Python path? So in your system, there will be some environment variables, right, for setting up the path. So similarly, Python path is an environment variable which is used when a module is imported. So when a module is imported, Python path is also looked up to check for the presence of the imported modules in various directories. The interpreter uses it to determine which module to load. Okay, so Python path is used when a module is imported. So the interpreter uses this to determine which module to load. Then the next question, what are Python modules? Name some commonly used built-in modules in Python. So it's a very important question. So modules make Python very popular, very interesting, very efficient, and very easy. So modules are like some libraries. So if you have learned C, C++, Java, there's the concept of header files, right? So similarly, modules are like header files in Python. So what is a header file then? So header file is like a library in which some code is already written, compiled, and kept ready for execution. So what's the use of library? What's the use of header files? What's the use of modules? So you don't have to type everything from scratch. You need to just use these modules for some specific purpose. And Python has a large number of modules, be it a NumPy, be it matplotlib, okay, be it math module. So for example, math module is a module which contains a large number of functions for performing performing mathematical operations. Then NumPy is a very basic module. Okay, it has the functions for performing array operations, matrix operations. So similarly, as I told you, Python has so many modules, around 100 modules that has large number of functions for some complex mathematical and scientific operations. So Python modules are the files containing Python code. This code can be either functions, classes, or variables. Okay, so module can have functions, it can have classes, it can have variables also. Okay, so the next one, what is local variable and what is global variable? So global variables are declared outside a function or in global space. Okay, these variables can be accessed by any function in the program. So the concept of global variable is same across all the programming languages. They can be accessed from anywhere in the program. They're visible to entire program. Then local variable. So local variable is limited only to a particular function. So when you come out of that function, you cannot access this local variable. So that's the meaning of local variable. It is declared inside a function. This variable is present in the local space and cannot be accessed outside the function. So you can see the example: a equals 2, define add, b equals 3, c equals a plus b, print c, then add. So what are you doing here? You are making this a equals to global. So the variable a is global here. And you are defining a function add. So this add function, what does it do? Inside the add function, so here b equals 3 is a local variable. Okay, because it is defined inside that function, which makes it local. Then you are calculating c equals a plus b. So even though you have not declared a inside the add function, but since a is a global variable, you can access a even from any function, you can access it because it's a global variable. Then you are printing C. Then when you add, you can guess the result. A is 2, B is 3, so the answer will be 5. So, but when you come out of this function, you cannot access B because B is a local variable. So it's just like that. So for example, the president is accessible for everyone. The president, anyone can access. Like he's responsible, he's accountable for the entire nation. But the governor is only for a particular state. The people from other state cannot access the governor from other state. So his scope is limited, but the scope of a president is across the entire nation. Correct? So that's the analogy. Then the next question is Python case sensitive. Yes, Python is very much case sensitive. C, C++, Java, Python, all these are case sensitive. DBMS, SQL, these are case insensitive. The capital letters are treated differently from the lowercase letters. The next question, what is type conversion in Python? So basically type means data type. So what is type conversion? Type conversion means to convert the value of a data type to another data type. For example, you want to convert an integer to float, float to an integer, okay, character to string, string to character, so integer to long int, like this. So you're basically converting the value of a data type to another data type. Usually typecasting happens from smaller data type to higher data type because you need more information. So for example, if integer occupies 2 bytes and floating data type occupies 4 bytes. So for example, if you divide 5 divided by 2, the answer will be 2.5. But if you make 2.5 as integer, you will get only 2 because it shows only the integer part. So it's always suggested to convert smaller type to higher type. So instead of getting 2, if you get 2.5, then it means you're getting more information. So this is the significance of typecasting. So type conversion refers to conversion of one data type to another data type. Okay. So you can see the function int. So it converts any data type to integer type. Then we have float. It converts any data type to float data type. Then similarly, hexadecimal converts integer to hexadecimal. OCT converts integer to octal. Tuple, it's a function used to convert a list to a tuple. Then set. This function returns the type after converting to a set. Then list. This function is used to convert other data type to list data type. Then dictionary. So you will later understand what is this list, tuple, dictionary, sets, and all. Then string, used to convert integer to a string. And finally complex. Complex takes 2 arguments. It converts real numbers into complex numbers. Okay. So in this session, we have completed these many questions. I will bring some more questions in the next session. All right. Thank you.